In this video I'll be completing solutions to the paper 2 intermediate year from June 2015 materials. For students not from Bryn Hafren accessing this video, this paper has been made from legacy materials from the old specification, but all questions are applicable to the new intermediate tier. I will be going a little quicker than my other videos. This video is intended just to give answers rather than more detailed explanation. Question 1. Circle the quantity that is an appropriate estimate for each of the following. Width of a football pitch. I'd be looking for meters, kilometers no good, millimeters, centimeters, 50 meters is the sensible estimate there. Weight of a man. Kilogram is a bag of sugar, so I'd be looking probably between 60 to 80 kilograms for an estimate, and 70 kilograms is the most appropriate one there. A volume of tea in a cup. Knowing that a can of Coke holds 330 milliliters makes 250 ml the most sensible one. And area of a page in a book. Rule out the 300 centimeters cubed first because it represents a volume. All the others are two-dimensional units, which are area, but because you would measure a page in centimeters, 300 centimeters squared is the more sensible estimate. The special names of the straight lines in the diagram. We've got a tangent at the top, and we're given a radius running from the center to the edge. The ones missing are the diameter, which run right through the middle, and then the chord, which just runs from 2 points on the circumference. Draw a circle around all the following quantities that are equal to 2/5. I want you to use the fraction button on the calculator. First of all, enter 2/5 into the calculator, and it'll tell you that that is equivalent to the decimal 0.4. And then we enter all of the fractions here into the calculator. 10 over 15 will give us 0.6 recurring, so that's no good. 0.4, obviously, because that's what our first fraction gave us. 6 over 15 will also simplify to 0.4. 8 over 10 will go to 0.8, which is no good, and 4 over 10 will go to 0.4 as well. 1,000 apples are put into crates. Each crate can hold 72 apples. How many crates can be filled and how many apples will be left over? If we start off by doing 1,000 divided by 72, we end up getting 13.8 recurring. This means that we can get 13 full crates. And 13 times 72 will give us 936. This means 936 apples fill crates. We also need another crate to house the remaining apples, which would be found by doing 1,000 minus 936, 64 apples. So answer to the question is 13 crates with the remaining 64 apples left. What is 7% written as a decimal? 0.07. Calculate 48% of 82.5. Turn the percentage to a decimal and multiply 0.48 times 82.5. And we come out with 39.6. And then 3/7 of 84. You can put into the calculator 3/7 times 84 if you use the fraction button, or alternatively divide by the 7 on the bottom to give you 12, and then times that 12 by the top number 3, which gives you 36. Describe in words the rule for continuing each of the following sequences. 46, 41, 36. The sequence is decreasing by 5 each time. So something like take away 5 each time will be fine. A tricky one next. The sequence is increasing, but it's not, it's not increasing. It's the digits are increasing, 1, 4, 16, 64, but the signs are alternating. Now when this situation happens, you're going to be multiplying by a negative number, because when you do a positive times a negative, you get a negative. Negative times a negative, you get a positive, and so on. So it's a multiply by minus, and if we look, 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64, so it's multiply by minus 4. A shirt has B buttons. Write down in terms of B the number of buttons on 10 shirts. Well, it's simply B times 10, which is better written as 10B. And a total of K blocks are arranged in rows of 5. No blocks left over. So write down in terms of K the number of rows. Well, for that, if I'm putting a number of blocks into rows of 5, then I want to do K divided by 5. Better written in algebra as K over 5. Before 2010, the lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth was minus 89.2 degrees Celsius. In August 2010, a new record low temperature of minus 93.2 Celsius was recorded. What is the difference between these two temperatures? We've got a 0.2 in both numbers, and the difference between 89 and 93 then is 4. A conversation in class the day I'm making this video, should we put minus 4? Because we've been asked for the difference, just putting 4 degrees Celsius is sufficient. There's a 4 degrees Celsius gap between them, because it would depend on which number you were starting with, whether you'd look for minus or not. So 4 degrees Celsius is fine. On July the 2nd, 1936, a temperature of 46 degrees Celsius was recorded in Minnesota, USA. That's very, very hot. On February the 2nd, 1996, a temperature of minus 51 degrees Celsius was recorded in Minnesota, which is very, very cold. What is the difference between these temperatures? They want you to say 5, because they want you to do 51 take 46, but that's not right. Because if you think of a number line with 0 in the middle, minus 51 is our lowest temperature and 46 is our highest. There's way more steps than 5 in between those two. There's 51 steps to get up to 0 from minus 51, and a further 46 steps to get from 0 up to 46. Add those two numbers together and you get 97 degrees Celsius. And again, not a minus, not a negative number, because it's asked for the difference. And what temperature is midway between minus 12 degrees Celsius and 16 degrees Celsius? You're effectively finding the median if you link this to averages, which means you could just add these two together and half it. But if we used the number line idea again, minus 12, 16, and then 0 somewhere there, you can see that you take 12 steps to get from 12 up to 0. Now if you took 12 steps back from 16, you'd actually end up at 4. So finding the middle of 0 and 4 now will find the midway point, and that gives us 2 degrees Celsius. We've got a quality of written communication one here. I won't read the full question out because you've got it in front of you. The table below gives the charges for hiring a concrete mixer by the day. You pay £16.10 for the first day and £8.15 for each subsequent day on top. So if I wanted to hire it for 3 days, I'd pay that once and then this twice. The company has special offers for hiring a concrete mixer. You can hire it for a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for a one-off fee of £22.54. If you want it for the full week, Monday to Friday, so that's weekdays rather than weekend days as well, you can have it for £32.20. Now the question is saying, a fella James wants to hire a concrete mixer from Monday to Thursday, of course, which is 4 days. How much cheaper is it to hire a concrete mixer for a week, Monday to Friday, than it is to hire it from Monday to Thursday by the day? Now, the calculator is going to do all the work, but we've got to communicate properly in this. We've got to make sure that we get our full marks. So if I start my workings off by the day, we'll pay £16.10 for the first day, which is the Monday, and then we'll pay an extra 3 lots of £8.15 for the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, I'm going to put my pound sign on there because I don't want to lose any communication marks. So £16.10 plus 3 lots of £8.15 comes to £40.55. So that's the by the day charge. But they're asking us to compare, even though James only wants it from Monday to Thursday, you can already see that if he just has it from Monday to Friday, he'll only pay £32.20. So even though he doesn't need it on the Friday, it's worth hiring it for the full week. So then I'll write that the weekly charge is £32.20. And they've asked for how much cheaper is it, so I'm going to do a takeaway. 40.55 minus 32.20 with my pound signs again will come to £8.35 cheaper. Question 7. 8 members of a chess club, their ages are given to us and we're asked to find the median of their ages. The first thing we're going to need to do is put these into size order. So I can see that 15 is the smallest. Then I've got 24 and 28 as my numbers in the 20s. I've got 31 and 32 then from those two there. 39, 47 and 60. My median in the middle, because I've got an even number of data, is halfway between 31 and 32, which is going to be 31.5. For the range of their ages, I need the biggest take away the smallest. Helpful that I just put them into size order. 60 is the biggest, 15 is the smallest. That gives me a gap of 45. The mean of their ages is the total of the ages all added together divided by how many there are, which I know is 8. So I need first of all to add 15, 24, 28, 31, 32, 39, 47 and 60. Now it's worth doing this twice just to make sure that you don't lose a mark for sort of human error, mistyping the wrong number into the calculator. I make the total 276, so they all add up to 276, and that 276 needs then to be divided by 8 to give me my mean average age, which comes to 34.5. So 34.5 years old is the mean average. A new member aged 31 joins the club. What will happen to the mean age? Tick the appropriate box. The mean will increase, the mean will stay the same, or the mean will decrease. Now, there's nothing wrong with actually going and working out this again. You've just worked out that the total was the mean was 34.5. The total was 276. Now, if I do 276, add the extra person 31 on, that will now come to 307, and 307 will then be divided by 9. 307 divided by 9 gives 34.1 recurring, so 34 and a bit. Now, the mean is obviously decreased because of that. Okay, but a general rule is if you add someone bigger than the mean, then the total will increase. You'd be dividing by one extra, so you'd come out with a number bigger when you do your division. If we added a member to the club who was exactly 34.5, there would be no change at all in their mean. But because we're adding someone younger than the new mean will actually decrease. Okay, next we've got currency questions, so we'll be looking at home and away. Theo went, I'll just fix this a minute. Theo went on holiday to Brunei. He changed £950 into Brunei dollars and the exchange rate was 2.12. So home is the UK, which is pounds, and we multiply by 2.12 to turn it into Brunei dollars, which is away, and likewise we would divide then when we come back home, when we turn our foreign currency back into British. So we got 950 times by 2.12 for our first answer. For 2014, and I'm going to put BND after because that's the unit that they've given me. Whilst on holiday, he went on a trip which cost 180 BND. What was the cost of the trip in pounds? Well, this is coming back away back to the UK. So take the 180 and divide it by 2.12. And we come out with 84, quite a nasty number here, 84.9056, etc. To two decimal places, that'll be 84.91. The next question is concerned with carpeting a room. Denise's room is rectangular, measuring 10 meters by 4 meters. She wants to cover the floor with either carpet tiles or wood strips. So we've got a comparison. So I'm just going to draw a couple of a line down the middle here, not all the way down, and I'm going to write carpet, tiles on the left, and I'm going to write strips on the right. What I'm also going to do here, because I notice that I've got measurements of the carpet tiles given in centimetres, I mean there's a mixture there of metres and centimetres, I'm going to convert the 10 metres into 1000 centimetres, because of course there's 100 centimetres in a metre, and I'm going to convert the 4 metres into 400 centimetres as well in a similar way. Now, for the carpet, each tile is 50 centimetres by 50 centimetres. So if I want to work out how many tiles I'm going to need running the length of the room, I'm going to do 1000 divided by 50, which comes out to be 20. So I know I need 20 tiles going across. For the width of the room, which is 400 centimetres, I'm going to do 400 divided by 50, which gives me 8. Now if I'm tiling in squares, rows of 20 8 times, 20 times 8 will tell me that I need 160 tiles. I'm just going to leave it there a minute. I'm going to go over and do the strips now in the same way. I'll work out the cost in a moment. Running across the room, I've got rectangular strips 2 meters by 25 centimeters. Now the 2 meters is nice. 2 meters I can see goes into 10 meters at the top here straight away. So running across, I can say 10 meters divided by 2 meters is 5. So I'll have 5 strips running left to right. For the width of the room then, I've got 400 centimetres that I want to see how many 25s fit into 400, and that comes out to be 16. And then 5 times 16 is going to tell me that I would need 80 strips. So I've worked out if I choose carpet, I'm going to need 160 tiles. If I choose strips, I'm going to need 80 strips. Going back to the information in the question now, carpet tiles come in packs of 32. So I'll see how many 32s are in 160, and that comes out to be 5. So that's going to be 5 packs. And as a pack is £40, 5 times 40 means I'll be spending £200 on carpet tiles if I decide to go carpet. The strips come in packs of 8. So if I do on a similar way, 80 divided by 8, that tells me I need 10 packs. A pack is £22, so 10 times 22 will give me 220 to do the room in strips. There's a £20 difference there. The carpet is cheaper. So carpet cheaper by £20. Next question, bit of algebra. Solve the following equation. First of all, I'm going to multiply out this bracket to get 60, take away 2x equals 44. Now, because the x term is negative, I don't actually advise using our arrow method here that we normally do, because we'll end up dividing by a negative and all that, which can make it a bit nasty. What I recommend here is we cloud our algebraic term, and imagine it wasn't there, cover it up. 60 take away what is 44? And I know the answer is 16. 60 take away 16 is 44. Now, because we're in the cloud, double something is 16. That tells me that that something needs to be 8. So 2 8s are 16, and if you take 16 away from 60, you get 44. On your expand and simplify, be very, very careful because of this negative in the middle there. It's not going to be straightforward. If we multiply out our first bracket, 3 multiplied by 4a minus 2c, we end up with 12a take away 6c. Our second bracket, 2 times 2a will be 4a, and 2 times 4c will be 8c. Now I'm not going to write the plus at the moment. Normally we just write the plus straight away in there because obviously there's a positive 2 times the 4c. But there was a big minus in the middle here, which effectively makes it minus 2 times this bracket. Now it's easy to see that the first one is therefore minus 4a, because the 2 times 2a was a positive term, but it's also going to make the second term of that expansion a minus as well, because you've got negative 2 times positive 4c, and a negative times a positive makes a negative. When we collect our terms then, the a terms, 12a take away 4a, gives me 8a, and I'm left with then the sum minus 6c minus 8c. Now think about starting at minus 6 on the number line, drop another 8 and you'd end up at minus 14c. So to put my answer together, 8a minus 14c. Find all integer values of n that satisfy the inequality 3n greater than or equal to 5 but smaller than 18. Now 3n is basically the multiples of 3, the 3 times table. So I can see there that the numbers that would work in the 3 times table that are between 5 and 18 are 6, 9, 12 and 15. The 3 times table that is between 5 and 18 is 6, 9, 12 and 15. And so the number n there is the multiple of 3 that makes each of these numbers. So 3 is times by 2 to give me 6. 3 is times by 3 to give me 9. 4 is times by 3, and 5 is times by 3. So the numbers I'm looking for, the value of n, is n equals 2, 3, 4, or 5. Question 11. The diagram below shows a rectangle and a triangle joined by a common side BD. The first thing I recommend you do when you see this question is a quick skim. Tells me that I'm looking at area. So I'm quickly just going to write down length times width, because I know that that gives me the area of a rectangle. And I'm also going to write down base times height divided by 2 over here, because I know that gives me the area of a triangle. Now I'm going to mark on the information that they give me. The area of rectangle ABDE, running ABDE, is 3,900. So I'm going to put him in the middle, in a little cloud. The length ED is 75, so I'm going to write 75 on the bottom there. And DC is 25, so I'm going to pop him along there. Now the two things I'm asked to do are to find the area of this triangle, BDC, which gives me a problem because I need to know what the height BD is, because I need to do the base times the height divided by 2, so I can't do that yet. And then I also need to find the length of BC. Now there's a right angle triangle here, and I've got to find this length BC, which is a hypotenuse, so I'm going to use my Pythagoras theorem. Now Pythagoras, because I'm finding a hypotenuse, will be square, square, add, square root to find that. So again, not knowing BD gives me a problem. That is my first mission, find BD. Now in the rectangle, we know the rectangle is 3,900, and we know that the base is 75. So these two sides, or more importantly, these two sides, 75 and BD, multiply to make 3,900. So if we do 3,900 divided by 75, we get 52. That means that 52 is the height of BD, which is great, because now I can do these two bullet points. The area of BDC will be found by doing 25 times 52 and then halving, which comes out to be 650. And I'm going to put centimeters squared, so I'm dealing with an area. And the length BC is going to be found by going square, square, add square root. So BC will be found by doing 52 squared, 25 squared, and then adding them together. 52 squared comes out to be 2704. 25 squared comes out to be 625. Add these two together and we get 3329, adding because we're finding the hypotenuse. If we take the square root of 3329, we get the answer we're looking for. A big decimal, 57.7 will be a sufficient rounding. 57.7 centimeters. Question 12, the bill. I won't read all the information out. There is important stuff at the top here. We've got 3 months. The bill is for the last 3 months, and that is very important up there because there's a standing charge in a moment. He's received a bill for €760, which is based on an estimated meter reading. This is how electricity companies do it if we don't submit what we've actually used to them. We've got our own meter readings here, which is great because that'll help me find the units. And then I've got electricity cost €0.78 per unit. We're in euros because we're abroad, we're in Austria. But it's not as difficult normally. When we're given a UK bill, they always tell us pence, and then we've got to turn our pence back into pounds. but they've given us euros straight away, which is a good unit for us to use, so it's actually made it a little bit easier. There's a standing charge to 24.40 euros per month, which I'll multiply by the 3. I'm going to add some VAT on, which is 12%, and I'm asked then to calculate the difference between what the bill he was sent and what he thinks he should pay if his meter readings were sound. So the usual bill success criteria applies. I'm going to do the units first. I'm going to find out how many units I use by doing a subtraction. Which comes to 752. 752 units. 752 I'm going to multiply by the 0.78. That's going to tell me how much the electricity costs, which is 5, I'll use the euro sign, 586 euros 56 cents. The standing charge is 24.40 per month, so I'm going to do 24.40 times 3, which comes out to be 73.20. And I'm going to add those together, which gives me 659.76. I'm then going to add my 12% VAT on. So I'm going to do 0.12 times 659.76. I'm going to have a problem here again because I've got to do some rounding. Now I always want 2 decimal places for my money, so I'm going to go for 79.17. Of course you can use a calculator as well. That comes to 738.93 euros. Now given that his estimated bill was for 760 euros, 760 take away 738.93 will give us our difference, which is 21 euros and 7 cents. Got estimated mean next. We got 10 days. And we've got nice midpoints here, 4.5 to 5.5. So we can add on my 2 extra columns over here. I'm actually going to write my midpoint just in this section because there's a nice bit of room in there that I could do that. Midpoint of 4.5 and 5.5 is 5. The next midpoint is 6. The next midpoint is 7. The next midpoint is 8. You must check them all in case they increase the size of the class interval. 8.5 and 9.5 is 9. So these then get multiplied across. 5 times 4 is 20. 6 times 2 is 12. 7 times 0 is 0. I know a few of you will fall into the trap of putting 7. 8 times 2 is 16, and 9 times 2 is 18. If I add all these together, then they come to 66, I think, and we'll just check. They come to 66. And so for the mean rainfall for the 10 days, we need to do 66 divided by, do not divide by 5 because there's 5 rows. The rows have nothing to do with it. It's 10. Divide by 10. They told us they were 10 days in the question up the top. If they hadn't have done that, we could have found that by adding this column up as well. 4, 2, 2, 2, all adds up to 10. So our mean daily rainfall is 6.6 millimeters. State the modal class. So which of these rows is the most popular? And it's the top one with 4 days. So this was the modal class. 4.5 less than or equal to R less than 5.5. And the median class, because I'm dealing with 10 days, The middle of 10 days is, we can think of day 5, but actually in between day 5 and day 6. So I want to find out where they fall. Now in the first class there's 4 days, so day 5 and day 6 wouldn't be lined up yet. When I move into the next class, 4 add 2 gives me 6. So that means that day 5 and day 6 were added in this class interval. So the median is 5.5 to 6.5. Over the page then, on the graph paper below, draw a frequency polygon to show this rainfall data. I'm just going to open up another page again so that I can see. Now the frequency polygon is when we plot our midpoints. So we used 5 as our first midpoint, which gave me 4 days, which means my first point will go exactly there at 5, 4. My next one is at 6, 2, which is there. Then 7, 0, which comes all the way down onto the x-axis. Then we are 8, 2, and then 9, 2. And a frequency polygon, we will take our ruler, join up each point to the next, like so. Question 14 is on bounds. Jake's car has travelled a total of 31,500 miles, correct to the nearest 100 miles. So at this point I'd recommend your number line, 31,500 in the middle, add 100 on, 31,600, take 100 off, 31,400. And then our bounds are the midpoints between each of these intervals. So my upper bound is here at 31,550 and my lower bound here is at 31,450. So these two numbers are important for the total distance. For each hour that the car travelled, he estimates it travelled 46 miles correct to the nearest mile. So another number line, 46 in the middle, to the nearest mile, so 47 and 45 either side. Find our midpoints. 46.5 is our upper bound and 45.5 is our lower. And then calculate the least number and greatest number of hours that Jake's car could have taken to travel this distance. Give your answers correct to the nearest hour. Now looking back at the original figures, if it was exactly 31,500 and exactly 46, a division will tell me how many hours I've been travelling, because that's per hour. So I would just do that divided by that. Because I want to find out the least and greatest, what I need to do is first of all divide the maximum by the minimum. Okay, the upper bound divided by the smallest. So I'll take the 31550 divided by the smaller one from the miles per hour, 45.5. And then I'll also want to do the minimum, which was 31,450, and divide that by the max from here, 46.5. And these will both give me then my least and my greatest. So a bit of typing in the calculator now. The first one here gives me 693.4. And the second one gives me 676.3. And they can be written down in the bottom. The least being 676.3 and the greatest being 693.4. I realise it says correct to the nearest hour here, so 693 is my greatest and 676 is my smallest. To finish off, we've got our probability tree here now, Shiona buying a bowl of soup, 0.8. That's already marked on the probability tree for us, so the probability she doesn't buy a bowl of soup is 0.2 or 20%. The probability of Shiona buying an apple is independent of her buying a bowl of soup, which means the two events are completely unrelated, one doesn't affect the other. The third line is important. The probability that Shiona buys a bowl of soup and an apple is 0.32. Complete the tree diagram. Now we don't want to write 0.32 here because that is not the probability of buying an apple. 0.32 is written at the end of the probability tree because both things have occurred. And you know, when we stress the word and in probability, we are looking at multiplying. So 0.8 times what was 0.32. Now if you go to your 8 times table, you know 8 fours are 32, so we've got 0.4 at the top. If 0.4 is there, 0.6 is below. And this event, because we're dealing with two independent events, this is then repeated below as well. 0.4 and 0.6 to show all outcomes. So that's that she buys both. This would be that she buys soup but not an apple. This would be that she doesn't buy soup but does buy an apple. And this would be that she buys neither. And that is what we're asked in part B. Find the probability Shiona does not buy soup and does not buy an apple. So I want to know what is the probability of this happening, which is 0.2 times 0.6, which is 0.12. And our final question then is on circle theorems. I'm going to zoom in on the circle so you can see what I'm doing. I won't move the paper around so we can see the questions. We've got tangents, we've got centre row, and we're given that the angle here is 74, and we're asked to calculate various different angles, starting with AOT, which is this angle in here. Now, I need to use the two tangent theorems. OB in the centre is really important because it means that all three of these lines are exactly the same size because they all represent a radius of the circle. Now, if a radius meets a tangent, that tells me that the angle in there is 90 degrees at A. So I can see then that I'm kind of developing a triangle which of course has 180 degrees in it. The other theorem that we're going to use now is that when two tangents come from a point, T, the two tangents will be equal in length. And that means that OT is a common side, which is going to split this 74 directly in half. So one of these angles is 37 degrees. So what I've got then is a 37 and a 90. And if I just do this just up here so you can see it, 37 and 90 adds to 127, and 180 take away 127 comes to 53 degrees. So the answer to AOT is 53 degrees. And I'm just going to write him in here, 53. Next I'm asked to find OBC, which is this angle down in here. Now, because I'm looking at two congruent triangles, because our tangents are the same length, this angle in here is also 53. And bearing in mind what I said earlier about these being a common side because they're ratios, I'm actually then making an isosceles triangle here. These two are the same, which means that these two angles here are also the same. So 180 take away 53 gives me 127, and if I cut 127 in half, I'll end up with 63.5 degrees. So both of these angles are 63.5, and we were just asked for OBC, which is one of them. So I'm just going to OBC, pop in 63.5 degrees. Last, I'm asked to find ACB, which is the angle running from A to C to B, which is an angle in here. Let's just have a quick look at what we got. We've worked out that that's 63.5 in here now, OBC. So we know that's 63.5. We likewise know that the angle at the top there is 63.5 degrees. So we can just, by adding angles in a normal triangle, we can work out the last one in there that we need to mark. Add these two together, 53 and 63.5. comes to 116.5, and if I take that away from 180, I'll be left with my answer, which is 63.5 degrees for that last angle in there. I realize that I've answered the same question twice here. ACB I'm looking for to finish, I'm sorry. ACB, which are this whole angle in there. So what I've got actually is a quadrilateral, a four-sided shape. If I just highlight it in a different colour. ACB, I've got a quadrilateral. So I've just worked out that I've got 63.5 twice, which I know is 127. Add the two 53s on, which is 106. They come together to give 233. And because a quadrilateral has 360 degrees in it, I'll do 360, take off 233. To leave me with 127 degrees. So the last one, ACB, is 127 degrees. And that finishes the answers. I have gone a little quicker than normal on this. It's not as detailed as the other videos with explanation. If any question has caused you a problem, you must make sure you ask us about it in our lessons. Okay, thank you for watching.